One day, the great spiritual master of the Hebrew tradition, the Baal Shem Tov, was walking to the synagogue to teach his disciples. But as he walked through the town, he could discern that the connection between heaven and earth had been torn asunder. Heaven was disconnected from the earth. And as he walked, he thought, what must he do about this? He arrived at the synagogue and took his seat before his disciples. And then, as they looked on him eagerly, he said to the first one in a gruff tone, "You, stand up and sing me a prayer. Make it something beautiful." And the first disciple began to sing. And he sang with all the skill he knew how to apply. But in the middle of the song, the Baal Shem Tov said, "No, stop. Sit down. That was awful. It was terrible. Have you been paying no attention to me whatsoever?" And he said, "You," pointing to the second disciple, "stand up and sing me a prayer to God. Make it beautiful. Go." And the second student sang, using every nuance that he had learned over his years of training. But halfway through his song, the Baal Shem Tov again cried out, "Oh, that is awful! Stop! Sit down. You've been paying no attention. You have no idea what you're doing. I don't know how you have the temerity to come in here and do this." And the man sat down, humiliated. Well, the third student saw his turn come, and he was made to stand and to sing a prayer. And again he applied all the skills he knew to use. But halfway through his song, the Baal Shem Tov said, "Even worse than the other two! Oh my good, that was dreadful! That was like fingernails screeching across a chalkboard. Just awful. Please sit down." And in this way, the Baal Shem Tov went through every single disciple, making him sing a prayer, and then tearing him to pieces after he had started to sing. Finally, the last disciple stood up with trembling knees, and the Baal Shem Tov told him, "A prayer, sing." And the young disciple began to sing as best he knew how. But the Baal Shem Tov stopped him too halfway through and said, Stop! Awful, dreadful, despicable. You have no talent. You can't even sing. I don't know what you're thinking hanging around in synagogues." And he wouldn't stop. He just continued to lay into the young man. "You're clearly uneducated. You're not interesting. You're rather dull. You're rather stupid." And as he went on, the young man, growing more and more humiliated, felt pain in his heart and began to suffer. And in this feeling of suffering, he sang a small prayer very quietly and to himself, to God, to help him in his confusion over the Baal Shem Tov, his beloved master's very cruel behavior. And as he sang this plea for help to God, the Baal Shem Tov grew silent. The disciple realized that the room had grown very quiet, and the Baal Shem Tov looked at him and said, "That is exactly what I asked for. Thank you." Well, the class ended, and all the disciples went their way. But the young disciple who had sang at the end was still very puzzled and had many emotions. And he came up to the Baal Shem Tov and asked, "Master, why did you do this? Why did you tear us all to pieces? Why did you humiliate me? And then say that my song is what you had asked for?" And the Baal Shem Tov looked at him with fatigue and compassion in his eyes and said, "On my way to the synagogue, I saw that the connection between earth and heaven was torn apart. They were separate. And I knew that the only thing that can reconnect them is a prayer sung from a pure heart. And I know that a pure heart is only a heart that has been broken open. In this way, having a broken heart, having trouble in your life, is also an opportunity to access the very life, the poignant experience of living within your own heart, in the very center of what feels like pain. There is this light of life. Here is a poem by the 14th century Persian poet Hafiz, translated by Daniel Ladinsky. Absolutely clear. Don't surrender your loneliness so quickly. Let it cut more deep. Let it ferment and season you as few human or even divine ingredients can. Something missing from my heart tonight has made my eyes so soft and my voice so tender and my need for God absolutely clear.